Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. My goodness. There's so much to cover. We have some letters, we have some updates, and of course, today was the day that Harry addressed the UN, or I should say maybe 10 people in the building. There's just a lot to cover, so we're just gonna jump in and get there, shall we? There's so much. So let's just jump in and get there. Let's go. So I'm going to start off this morning with a comment made by Footsie Girl, who saw me on the live the other day, and she said my hair looked mystical. Thank you for the compliment. For those of you who did not see the live, what I am is a combination of very dark hair with a lot of silver gray in it, which I understand people are actually paying for. I'm not sure why, but basically I got tired of dyeing my hair constantly, so I just let it go, and this is what I have. All right, thank you for the compliment. All right, next up, this is, an email that I got, exactly what I'm talking about. This person wrote to me and said all of their prescriptions, all of their subscriptions on YouTube were deleted. And she's been having to go back and find the channels and resubscribe. This is why I tell you every day to check that button. If you've hit the button already, double check it, because then one day you get on and poof, you're unsubscribed. It's the oddest thing. Now, somebody did suggest to me that if you ever hit the dislike button, the down arrow, thumbs down button, that sometimes that may have something to do with it. I don't know, but all right. Here's another email that I got from somebody who said that YouTube keeps removing their comments. He's putting up comments about where you can buy the book, the Tom Bauer book, that it's from the book depository or repository. I've seen that. That's where I knew to go buy the book. But for some reason, YouTube keeps removing their comments. So, you guys have asked before, I do not remove people's comments unless they're absolutely abusive towards me or somebody else. And if I remove your comments, you'll know, because I will also boot you from my channel. All right, let's move on to something else. All right, next up, I put up this post on Twitter about, everybody, I keep seeing people complaining about the heat and how hot it is. And I think it went right past me that people in the UK and in Europe in general don't have air conditioning. Apparently, from what I've been told, you have it in your cars and you have it in some stores, but not in your houses, because apparently it's not that hot there for extended, like where I live, by May, it's in the 90s every day, 90s Fahrenheit. Yesterday, it was 29.4 degrees Celsius. The heat index puts the heat at over 100, and it's humid heat. So when you go outside, it's like you're breathing in water. So no, I cannot imagine what it must be like for all of you without air conditioning. I can't even, I'd be fainting. I'm not kidding. I would be fainting. I cannot take that kind of heat. So, I have seen on Amazon some products, though, that you guys could order that could help you out. Here's some cooling towels. Apparently, you put ice in them. You wear them around your neck. I've never used one of these, but I hear they're pretty good. But here's what I recommend. There are these personal fans that go around your neck, and they literally blow cold air on your neck. And as long as your neck is cool, your body tends to stay cooler. So for all those of you who don't have air conditioning, my thoughts are with you. Stay cool, people. All right, let's move on. Really quick, Johnny Thompson sighting. Apparently he was in Rwanda with Prince Charles. Loving that salute. All right, next up, most of you know that according to the live that we had yesterday, this whole thing is about Duchess Drop Bear and did she pay Sadie or Wally her money. She gave several different stories about she paid, that she was told no, then she said it was a check, then she said it was a cashier's check. Now, what you're looking at above is a picture of a cashier's check that I plucked right off the internet. It was very simple, okay? So this is the copy of the check that she supposedly sent. Now I'm looking at it, and the first thing I notice is the banks don't fill out cashier's check with blue ink, and they certainly don't fill it out in that kind of neat script. So almost immediately I thought this is absolutely fake. Then I noticed at the bottom left, as you can see, her name. She put her name, and may I just remind you that she said in a previous message, which I already showed you, that her name wasn't Penny. But as you can see from the check, it absolutely is. So she's even trying to lie about her name. Now, as you can also see, she said that the money from the live had been refunded to everybody. But when I showed this to a different person, they pointed out that she claims to have proof from YouTube Studio they were refunded. But as you can see, she didn't even finish setting up the monetization. But if you've never finished setting up the monetization, how could anything have been collected or anything refunded? Like, the lies just keep piling up. So anyway, to make a very long story short, next to Penny's name was her ABN number, which I have blotted out. And there is an ABN lookup number for her area, and I put it in, and as you can see, it is an invalid number. So what she did was, I think, is she plucked the picture off the internet, typed her name and stuff on there, filled it out, and said, look, here's proof that I sent it. It was never sent. She's caught. She's lying. There you go. One more just little tidbit. You notice on this copy that I pulled from the internet where it says non-negotiable. Do you see that? Here it is just a little closer so you can see it. See, it says non-negotiable. If you look back at this check that is the supposed proof that payment was sent, you can see that it also says non-negotiable on it. You guys see that? For those of you who don't know what that means, a non-negotiable check is a check that cannot be deposited, transferred, or exchanged for cash. And the reason for this is because otherwise anybody could print that check off the internet, fill it out, go into a bank, deposit it, and steal money. Okay? That's why it says non-negotiable. Not to mention, as I've told you guys before, it's written in blue ink, cursive. No banks anywhere in the world do that with blue ink. Very bad forgery. All right, guys, enough with this. We've proven it's a fake. Let's move on. And talking about the live, I just want to let you guys know of something else that occurred. Everybody's been writing to me this morning. Apparently, as I told you yesterday, Boozy took Trevor's comments, pinned them to his wall, and claimed that Trevor was threatening to shoot a black man. And it's almost comical because his name at that time had not been mentioned in the clip that I showed you guys. I even said, he who must not be named. I didn't even say his name at that point. So Trevor went to the UK police with the clip. The police contacted the Bergen, New Jersey police, who are handling my case and like 6 other people. In other words, by taking the clip and putting it up, he admitted to trolling me, because he does follow me from platform to platform, takes clips of what I write, and then puts out tweets. So he admitted that he's trolling me, and he outed himself. And now that information is going to be used in my case, because he's trolling me, and he's proved to the police that he was trolling me. You just can't make this up. All right, next up, somebody wrote this to me, pointing out something which I'd actually thought of myself. If an 11-year-old Meghan Markle had written a letter and received a letter back from Hillary Clinton, you would at the very least frame it and save it. You don't just go, oh, it's Hillary Clinton, and throw it in the mail. Where's the letter? Does the letter? If the letter exists, it would be in the Clinton Library, the Library of Congress, or the National Archives. I completely agree. I don't understand why somebody hasn't gone to look. It won't be there because, as most people are saying, and as we've already proven multiple times before, Meghan tends to embellish her stories, thinking that nobody's either going to check them or she'll just be able to explain it away. Really quick, we know that Princess Anne went to talk about quality work-based learning and apprenticeships at Education Training Limited. Good for her. All right, let's move on now. Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, has released a new portrait to celebrate her 75th birthday. It was taken at her home in Raymill. And doesn't she look absolutely lovely in this photo? I love it. She really is quite photogenic, you know? I think she is anyway. But yes, lovely photos. Now, the royals put up posts wishing Camilla a happy birthday, or I should say most of the royals did. Here's one from the Cambridges. Here's one from the royal household. Notice Harry and Meghan didn't put up anything. Figures. All right, moving on. Alrighty, so Camilla and Charles, who are also known as the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall, began their tour of Cornwall. They met local residents, as you can see, and a lot of people lined up to see them. They were very popular there. They met the harbor commissioners right before they took a stroll along the harbor. Watch this.
No worries.
That's lovely, sir. That's really beautiful. Thank you. As always. Thank you.
Then they arrived in Mousehole. Here's a few videos to show you. Watch this.
Just let them set off walking.
Just get them walking, yeah. It'd be a nice shot getting them walking down country.
And there were children from the Mousehole School on the beach waving flags at them. How cute. And of course, Camilla had to stop and talk with some people. Watch this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today is the day that Harry is supposed to go to the UNs and give a talk about food security and climate change. This apparently was set up as an event by Sunshine Sachs. It is for Netflix content. And they're having to come up with the Netflix content because essentially they were put on the back burner for most of the Platinum Jubilee and they didn't get any great content. So Harry is not the keynote speaker. This is not a General Assembly of the UN. This is an informal gathering. Now, the other interesting thing is he's talking about climate change. And yet, guess how they arrived to the UN for this speech? Yep. Private jet, that's what's being reported. Typical, hypocritical Harry and Meghan. Shocking. All right, so they step off their private jet and they arrive hand in hand at the UN for Harry to give his speech about climate change and food equality or food, hunger, whatever. But here's what I've noticed. You see the title above? Meghan is getting top billing, not Harry. It's Meghan Markle and Prince Harry arrive hand in hand. I'm sorry, who's giving the speech to the UN? Who's supposed to be the top person here? No, Meghan's getting top billing. Then the whole thing is about what Meghan is wearing. And Harry's photos start coming out, and he still looks like a deer caught in the headlights. Like, seriously, look at that face. So this is what happened when they entered the building. Great question from the reporter. Watch this.
Prince Harry, are you worried that Tom Bauer's new book is going to widen your rift with the royal family?
Then they get to the top of the stairs, and this is what you see. Watch this.
Come on. You really had to do that?
For a person of color to be the next Prime Minister of Britain.
You really had to do that. That woman had to stand. She did it on purpose. Yeah.
Then they sit to wait for the proceedings to start, and Harry looks very, very unhappy, as you can see. And you have to wonder, why does he have this sour look on his face? Well, could it be because he sees that this is the group he's talking to? The room, as you can essentially see, is empty. That's them on the left in that group. The room is empty. He's talking to an empty room. So, Harry was introduced, of course, by his title, the Duke of Sussex, to give the keynote statement. Harry got up there. Of course, he immediately brought up his mother and her meeting with Nelson Mandela in 1997 and the photo he was gifted of that meeting when he was there in 2019, South Africa. And then he says he was invited to give this speech by the Nelson Mandela Foundation. All right, I'm not going to show his entire speech, but I am going to put a little snippet up and let's just go through it, shall we?
We're living through a pandemic that continues to ravage communities in every corner of the globe.
Harry and Meghan have not donated 1 penny to buy vaccines for anybody.
Climate change wreaking havoc on our planet.
Climate change, he and Meghan flew in on a private jet.
With the most vulnerable suffering most of all. The few weaponizing lies and disinformation at the expense of the many.
That statement from a man whose wife has been shown to be a perjurer in court. Also, Harry and Meghan are guilty of putting out misinformation themselves. Remember the whole Meghan's in labor? Come to find out, by the time they put it out, she'd already had the baby and was back at Frogmore, and they admitted that they put out the incorrect information.
And from the horrific war in Ukraine to the rolling back of constitutional rights here in the United States, we are witnessing a global assault on democracy and freedom, the cause of Mandela's life.
An assault on democracy and freedom from a man who said that free speech was bonkers when he was on the Dax Shepard podcast. Interesting. So I agree with this comment that was placed on Twitter that Prince Harry said we're witnessing a global assault on democracy, but yet he uses a royal title and he owes everything in his life to inherited wealth and privilege. And I have to tell you, I completely agree with this statement. If this man is thriving and happy, yeah, that's not somebody who's thriving and happy. And in the meantime, the seating arrangements, they're in the second row again. I sense a theme here. I completely agree with the comment made by Only Looking. The people around Harry and Meghan just don't look that delighted by their presence and honored to be seated near them. I have to agree with the body language guy. These pictures show somebody who is not mentally well, which is a little scary because don't forget, he's a life coach at Better Up and somebody is a coach to him. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that whatever it is they're doing with him, it's not working. So I want you guys to pay attention to the very, very few people that are in that room. Because if you look, the 2 people in the front row, they're on their phones. Then the row behind him to the left, the guy is sitting there looking ridiculously bored. Then a couple of rows back, people are looking at their phones. Over to the left, people are looking at their phones. Nobody was really paying any attention to him. A big thank you to Baze for this photo with everything circled. And a big thank you to that sassy Leo for this photo, which even shows better how nobody's paying attention to anything he's saying. So the speech ended and this comment came up by Lilibet Stardust, who pointed out that Harry had weeks to prepare a speech and it was all cliche and trite sayings that he claims were inspired by a man he never met, but he has a photo of on his wall. It was a word salad speech of catchy proverbs and expressions, and I agree. Now I'm going to show you the end of the speech. He finished talking, went to wrap up, and he looked up and he gave like a nasty look off to the side. And I'm telling you, that was a stare at Meghan. It only lasted for just a second, but my goodness. So watch this. Yeah, here's the look he gave her as he was putting his papers away. At some point, this man is going to have to sit back and decide, I don't want to be a performing chimp anymore. Forget the whole chimpo thing. This is ridiculous. I'm doing all of this because of Netflix. Nobody's paying attention. Half the people were on their phones. There's no way that he didn't look up and see that people weren't paying attention to him. And just top it all off, the man looked like he'd been drugged. So I have to tell you guys, on the whole, I would have to say that this was a complete failure. He was talking to an empty room. People in the rooms were on their phones. Nobody was paying attention. The room was almost empty. People just didn't look impressed by him. And he had that look of pain on his face that he always walks around with. I'm telling you. All right, a quick Finn update because I haven't given you guys one in a while. We were tucking in for the night. Believe it or not, this picture is actually how he sleeps between my husband and I. Although he starts with his back towards my husband and his feet towards me, and then in the middle of the night he flips, and so I get to snuggle him, and his pointy feet then are towards my husband, and you have to look out for those claws. But anyway, I want you to know that everything is fine with Finn. All is going well, no problems. I took him out into the backyard to run around. Here's a little video for you. Finn? Go get him! Man, is he fast. But the squirrel is faster. Show everybody some of your tricks. Sit. Sit. Down. What a good boy. Look at that face. Hey, howdy. Up here. Sweet boy. You okay? Go. Go get him. Go find him. Those squirrels, they're out there. They're there. Yeah. You're not going to be able to catch them, buddy. All right, you guys, once again, lots of information. I want to hear what you think about his speech to the UN. I want to hear what you thought about Charles and Camilla's tour through Cornwall. And I'd also like to hear what you think about the proof that Duchess Drop Bear put up that she paid Wally. All right, don't forget to leave those comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you've already hit the button, double check and make sure you're still subscribed. Very important. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter, Getter, Rumble. You can email me. To those of you who have donated through my thank button and through my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.